Am I the asshole for hating getting up on little sleep so my wife can exercise? Going to try and keep this as brief and to the point as possible. I feel like I'm taking crazy pills here and need some honest opinions. Long story short, my wife and I are in our mid-30s. She is obsessed with exercise. Exercises 7 days a week, maybe taking a day off 3 to 5 times total throughout an entire year, not a typo. We have 2 young children, an infant and a 3-year-old. I work second shift, so I am getting home from work at midnight. My wife asks me almost every day of the week if I can get up early with the baby so that she can go out for a run, or lift weights in the basement by herself. On the days I am not working, there is no conflict because I am able to go to bed early 8 to 9 p.m. and get up at 6:15 a.m. with the baby. Plenty of sleep for my needs. On days I am working, she inevitably asks me if I can get up at 6:15 a.m. with the baby so that she can work out. I get out of work at midnight, home at around 12:30 a.m., and go to bed shortly thereafter. My best case scenario for sleep is maybe getting 5 to 5.5 hours of sleep. Some people can function well on that amount of sleep, I cannot. I have tried talking with my wife about alternatives, such as her working out later in the morning, or in the evening once her workday is done. She refuses to do so, saying something to the effect of she doesn't like working out when it isn't morning. From time to time she will grudgingly wake up with the baby and have the baby in a bouncer in the basement while she runs on the treadmill or lifts weights. The baby will understandably fuss from this, as her runs or weight sessions are never any shorter than 1 hour. Whenever she takes the baby to the basement with her, she complains that she isn't able to concentrate or run because the baby is crying. Recently I have become more and more resistant to getting up on such short sleep. I tend to just go with the flow and not make a fuss, but lately have started to really dig my heels in about needing my sleep. This has resulted in a series of blow-ups and arguments. My position is that sleep is essential to mental and physical health. Exercise is important, I totally get that. With that being said, if someone exercises a bit less than they would prefer, it is not going to result in a serious mental, physical toll. Chopping down sleep times will absolutely have a detrimental effect on health and mind. I'm mindblown that I am somehow being seen as the asshole in all of this by my wife. Am I the asshole? Edit. Additional info, facts because a number of unpleasant commenters like, you, Mersnam are accusing me of withholding info to portray my wife in the worst possible light. 1. Kids' ages are 7 months and 3.5 years too. I work 4, 10-plus hour shifts per week. My wife works 2, 9-hour days 8A4P 3. The baby goes to bed at 6 p.m. and wakes up once in the night to feed, sometime between 3 to 430 A. On the nights I am working 4 nights, my wife listens for the baby and handles the wake up and feed. On nights I am not working 3 nights, I listen for the baby and handle the wake up and feed. 4. My wife in late high school did struggle with an eating disorder. I fear she has channeled that issue into a more socially acceptable activity, aka exercising a lot. She is a healthy weight, I have never criticized her appearance whatsoever. She is so hard on herself on her body, I'm the one telling her she looks great. 5. Household chores are divided at around a 60-40 ratio, with my wife handling the 60%. This has been mutually agreed to and works fine for us. 6. Babysitters, nannies, family coming over is not possible now due to COVID. 7. The hour plus of exercise per day is not my wife's only free time. On days I am not working, she has the entire day open to exercise. On days I am working, she has from the morning until 1:30 p. open. She chooses and insists to exercise at 6:15 a.m. 8. My wife is not intentionally waking the baby up at 6:15 am so she can exercise, the baby just tends to get up at that time.
Not the asshole. Not getting enough sleep regularly is a serious risk to your health. Her indifference to this is scary. Something is wrong. I don't know exactly what it is or how to fix it, but I do know you absolutely should not let her put your health at risk for her convenience. You need your health to help deal with whatever the fundamental problem here is.
Not the asshole, and your wife has an unhealthy obsession that very well may destroy your marriage if it is not dealt with. She needs medical attention in the mental health department. and I am not one to throw that out there lightly. Exercise addiction is a real thing.
Not the asshole. Wow, holy smokes, your wife sure is though. It's okay to have a time you need to yourself to exercise, but not at the sacrifice of your partner's well-being. This is not just a small issue. 5.5 hours is way too little sleep. Next time she asks, ask her if you can wake her up early in her sleep cycle for an hour in the middle of the night and see how she likes it. Something tells me if the shoe were on the other foot she wouldn't pull crazy shit like that.
Info: does the baby sleep through the night, allowing your wife to get 8 hours of uninterrupted sleep? Does you coming to bed in the middle of the night disrupt her sleep?
Not the asshole. At all. Your wife is the I'm usually all about compromise, but the only solves here are really on your wife. She needs to either continue to take the baby to work out in the basement with her, find a new time to work out, or see if you can afford to hire a sitter for that time. Maybe join a gym with childcare. Not getting enough sleep is very detrimental to your health and mental well-being. And it's a huge safety issue with you working and driving like that as well. Once again, not the asshole.
From an eating disorders website. Symptoms and signs of excessive exercise. The common hallmark of excessive exercise is prioritizing exercise foremost in life, rather than including exercise in a balanced lifestyle. Some common indicators of exercise obsession include continuing to exercise when injured or sick, avoiding social functions to exercise, firmly adhering to an obsessive and regimented exercise regime. You mentioned that she previously lived with an eating disorder. It may be that it's just converted. Not the asshole op. You need sleep, and I think your wife needs help. She is obsessed with exercise. This is not okay. She needs help. Is her exercising number one in your relationship?
Info: what does your wife do with the rest of the day? Is she the primary caregiver whilst you go to work? What time do your shifts start? Have you considered that perhaps this is her only time to herself where she gets a break from parenting? If she's up feeding the baby all night, and looking after both kids during the days and all evening whilst you're working, then she likely just needs a break. Edit. Since Op has called me names and given me honorable mention in his edit to his original post, for having the audacity to call him out on ignoring info comments whilst simultaneously taking the time to agree with everyone calling him an asshole, I'll just amend my vote. You are the asshole.
Info: is that the only down, alone time your wife gets every day?
Not the asshole. You could be in dangerous while driving if you're overly tired. You need your sleep, and your wife should understand that. Sleep beats working out any day.
Info: is your wife working? If so, how long is her workday? Have you spoken to the therapist about her responses to attempts to compromise, the "I'll just have to stop exercising" extreme responses, rather than compromise, etc.? How many times does she have to get up in the night to feed the infant child? Without knowing all this, I don't think it's fair to make a judgment.
Info: is it possible on your wife's part that this is more about the shift you are on than her workouts? Yes, your sleep is important, but it sounds like your wife is on her own with the baby from 2 to 3 in the afternoon until the baby goes to sleep. So she is spending a significant amount of time alone on baby duty, unless there is help we're unaware of. It sounds to me like both of you are being a bit stubborn about this. Your suggestion for her to work out when she's done with work isn't helpful, as you wouldn't be there to watch the baby. Her unwillingness to work out later in the morning is also an issue. As it stands, it sounds to me that you're both being a bit selfish and focusing on your own needs and not the overall picture.
Guys, you have a baby who is not yet sleeping through the night. Arguing over who is the asshole over sleep is completely pointless. You need to work together as a team. Come up with a schedule that is manageable for both of you. This means a little bit from her requests and a little bit from yours. Signed, someone whose baby also doesn't sleep through the night but is handling it like an adult.
Not the asshole. Wife needs to accept a compromise.
Info: what's the division of labor in your household? Is your wife the primary caretaker of the kids, and if so, is this something she happily agreed to, or is she making her own sacrifices to support your overnight career?
How much sleep does your wife get? Does she have to get up at 6? Like, is the baby going to wake up anyways? Is she up all through the night? Do you know how hard it is to do anything with a baby when you are responsible for it 23 hours of the day? I took out the hour exercise. I could be wrong, but a lot of dads don't realize how much work their wives are expected to do with the children. Like I said, responsible for the baby at all times of the day and night. Could you go back to sleep after the exercise?
Not the asshole. Your wife got used to getting her way and is making a fuss now because you dared to put your foot down. Keep doing that. Relationships are about compromises, and not about doing your own thing at the cost of your partner's health. She doesn't like to exercise later in the morning. From your post it seems like she doesn't work. At least you don't mention any kind of job constraints on her side. So theoretically, she has all day to exercise. Sit her down and have a serious discussion with her. She should take care of the baby in the morning so you can get at least 7 to 8 hours of sleep. If you don't want to push that hard, push at least for a compromise of switching who takes care of the baby every morning, so that you can get your sleep at least every second day.
Is it just me? But people are saying an hour of exercise a day is unreasonable. How? Why not the asshole? While exercise is important, your work is also important. You and your wife should work out a compromise that leaves you with proper sleep.
Info. Who gets up with the infant in the middle of the night? I've never heard of a parent with a baby getting 10 hours of sleep certain nights. Not the asshole. Parenthood requires teamwork and your wife is the person everyone avoids during group projects. Your sleep is worth more than her morning workout. If you are looking to compromise, which I personally wouldn't, the amount of exercise your wife is doing isn't necessary. Try taking naps after her workout.
I wanna hear the wide side of the story. Lol, this sounds so skewed towards him. Face with rolling eyes.
Info. Does your wife work outside the home? Exercise in the evening is less effective than in the morning, and I know from my own experience that trying to work out after being home all day with the kiddos or at work all day is a non-starter. But if she wants to do it in the AM and is a SAHM, I don't understand why she can't do it later in the morning. Not the asshole. It seems like she has an eating disorder or maybe body dysmorphia because she seems very body conscious. I recommend you convincing her to get personal counseling and then additional counseling for the both of you. Marriage counseling. Also, there seems to be a communication issue as well, but I think she's definitely going through a mental thing and you should try talking ABT because this seems deeper than a workout problem.
Not the asshole. Easy solution. If your wife wants to work out in the morning, she can. She needs to wake up at 5 a.m. and be done before the baby wakes up. Problem solved. I mean, it doesn't solve the fact that your wife is unreasonable, selfish, and suffering greatly from mental illness, but it solves your sleep issue. I have been getting up before the kids are up to run for years, and so do most other running mamas I know.
Info. What is her work schedule? What chores do you do around the house? What chores does she do? What is the baby's schedule throughout the day? Who looks after it and after the 3-year-old? What does that normal schedule look like? I agree that her expecting you to get up so early so she can work out is a little ridiculous, but my opinion entirely depends on the balance you two have at home.
Honestly, you guys just sound like two people with a lifestyle that doesn't suit having a child. Need more info. On the face of it, I don't think you are being unreasonable, but I also don't know a single parent of a baby lucky enough to get as much as 5 hours sleep. Can I check what is happening through the night, say if baby wakes at 3 a.m.? If you are taking it in turns to get up with the baby, fair enough. If she is the only one getting up with the baby, I think her request for time to herself first thing might not be unreasonable.
You are the asshole. I'm having a lot of difficulty understanding how folks are coming up with not the asshole here unless they've never had experience raising children and or believe that raising children is a woman's responsibility and a man is there to fill in. You have a 1-year-old. Getting a 5-hour block of sleep is a luxury when you have a young child.
Sleep deprivation is used as torture. Your wife is being manipulative and abusive. She puts her wants above your and your child's needs. Framing your need for sleep as an attack on her means she has much bigger problems than the amount of exercise she is getting. Not the asshole.
Info. Is there some kind of trade-off here, or is it totally one-sided? Do you have your own hobbies she clears up time for? Is there some other sphere of home life where she does more than you? Otherwise, yeah, not the asshole. I get she has a preferred workout time, but she has 2 kids to take care of too.
Info. When do you care for your children if you come home at midnight?
Not the asshole. Sleep is more important than having a run at the exact time you want it. She is being selfish.
Not the asshole. Here is where she learns that having kids changes your life. She doesn't get to keep her routine and tell you to suck it up. Sit down with her and figure out a compromise. If she's unwilling to, then it's time for couples counseling. Compromise could even be that you do it on your days off and only 2 days during your work schedule. But not every day. That would be more than fair.
Not the asshole. Sleep is essential. Info. Are chores, childcare, and household tasks otherwise split pretty evenly or in a mutually agreeable way? I get the feeling that a lot of men are commenting on this thread, and it's not giving you a fair response. You've phrased your post in a way that garners sympathy for you, but I think you may be neglecting your wife's perspective here a bit. It sounds like she is home alone with the kids a lot while you are out at work for long periods. That alone is super isolating and demanding. If the baby is still fussing in the night and you're not there helping during that either, she's essentially operating as a single parent, which is even more isolating. If your wife posted this on a mummy Reddit, what do you think her post would say? How do you think other mums might react to your behavior? I have a feeling you might get slammed the way your wife is here.
She refuses to do so, saying something to the effect of she doesn't like working out when it isn't morning. Too bad. She prefers to exercise in the morning, but she could do it some other time on the days where it is a conflict for your sleep schedule. You need sleep to function, period. Not compromising on this makes her the asshole, not you. Not the asshole.
Not the asshole. Is she addicted to exercise? That is the only reason I can think of that makes sense.
We need more info, and I feel like I'm going crazy reading the comments. Is she the primary caregiver? Is she waking up with the infant therefore not getting enough sleep? Is the exercise time the only time she gets to be alone? Sounds like the exercise is part of her anxiety disorder, but you aren't going to fix it by digging your heels in about sleep. Also, for parents with an infant, it's pretty normal to not get 8 hours sleep. Info. Why don't you simply go back to sleep when she's done with exercising? You, Perestroika pal.
You are the asshole. It's not going to kill you to get up with your own kid on 6 hours of sleep. It's not a permanent state of existence. Grow up.
Info. Can you provide more detail of her work demands and schedule and the distribution of childcare for you two? I don't disagree that sleep is important, but having an infant requires sacrifice from everyone. Are you the only one expected to make sacrifices? No assholes here. I think you're both being over dramatic tbh. You can sleep earlier or she can work out at a different time. Honestly, you should be happy your wife works out. She's keeping herself in good shape lol. As long as you're both putting 50-50 work on your baby, I don't think it matters unless she's not helping out with the baby in the same way that you do. Your wife is absolutely unreasonable here. She cannot expect you to completely upset your schedule just because she stubbornly refuses to adjust hers. Not the asshole.
Not gonna lie, I came into this ready to give a YTA because I assumed it was a typical case of dad not letting mum have time to herself. But the alternatives you give are entirely reasonable, and getting so little sleep is crazy bad for you. Not the asshole, but it sounds like your wife may have some issues that need to be addressed.
Info. Why can't she get up an hour earlier to work out?
You say you work. What does your wife do?
Info. Does infant daughter sleep through the night? Why can't your wife wake up at 5 to get her exercise in before the day starts?
Info. How old is your infant? Wondering if any of this is related to your wife trying to get her body identity back after her pregnancy, or feeling insecure about how she looks. Agree she is being obstinate for seemingly no reason, but wonder if there is something deeper happening for her. I have a feeling a broader conversation might open up some underlying issues and help you connect instead of fighting. None of this means you need to function on no sleep, but I have a sneaking suspicion that what looks like a stubborn scheduling issue might be standing in for other feelings.